All right. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. It's Shelley Bosch here from Parent Dashboard. So excited that you're with us for this Parent Dashboard Presents event. We are having a topic near and dear to my personal heart because I've been there, is burnout and self-care. So very, very excited. I know as complex needs parents, we can have chronic levels of stress punctuated by crisis and systemic advocacy, and it can all be a lot. So I don't know about you, but when we go through that, sometimes we wish we had people who could help us through it. And we have today somebody who I only wish that I'd had at the time that I was going through the worst part of my burnout as a complex needs parents. And so all the way from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, we have Claudia Taboada with us today. I'm so excited for that. Oops, I think I pinned Ann Roberts instead. Just a moment. Hang on. I'll learn how to operate this. Yeah, there she is. Hi, Claudia. So good to have you with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Oh, well, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. And can you tell us a bit about your story? And you're a mom of complex needs kids. Just going to ask everybody to mute themselves as well. Probably, there we go. Oops. I'm going to ask you, I think I might have accidentally muted you. Okay, this is me with the technical glitches. There we go. Yeah. Just ask everybody if they can mute themselves. Great. Claudia, you're a special needs mom, complex needs mom as well, and you've been there, but you've also bounced back. And, today when we talk about burnout, really what we're needing is like tools and tricks and tips on resilience and self-care. And but you've been there. So can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you got started and how you started like recognizing? Sometimes it's important to recognize the early warning signs. Yes. So how did you, welcome and thank you, and over to you.
All right. Okay, so let's start. So my journey, well, first of all, I am a mom of a severely autistic young adult. He is nonverbal. He's 21. He just turned 21 about 2 weeks ago. So my journey started, he was born in 2001. And at the time I was a labor and employment attorney. And when we realized he had some signs, I mean, he couldn't speak, he didn't point, and he was very hyperactive. We took him to the doctor, and they diagnosed with autism. And at the time, there were no daycares, no educational alternatives. So my husband and I at the time, we decided that I would take some time off. Initially, what was going to be a sabbatical, a 2-year sabbatical, turned into years because, well, my son is severely autistic and there were no many possibilities for him. And I became the ultimate super autism mom. I was not only the mom, but I was the therapist. I was the speech therapist. I was the occupational therapist, the psychologist, the advocate, the program intervention manager. And at the same time, I had a baby to take care of, his little brother. So, I mean,
the FBI agent, because you're researching all of this.
Exactly. Or the PhD. I mean, I could have had 3 PhDs in autism, because I will finish my day, and in the evening I would be on the computer trying to find out, the best therapies that I could find and everything. So anyways, it was, year after year that it was a whirlwind, and I was living my life on autopilot, and that was my life, but I did not even realize it. I did not realize until one day I was going from my son and I were going to see his psychologist, and I momentarily fell asleep at the wheel. And thank God I took the wheel back. It was raining. There was no incoming cars, because we would have both been killed. There is no question about it if there had been a car. And I took the steering wheel back, And that was like a wake up moment. But I was so burned out, and I was so physically and mentally exhausted that I just kept going and going I think an extra year or two. And it was only by accident that I started to wake up to the power of self-care. And that accident was my son was gifted a guide dog. And my husband was traveling, and I had no choice but to take care of the dog myself. And at the time, I was so busy that I said, how am I mean, I don't even have time to comb my hair, and now I'm going to take care of this dog. But anyways, we took the dog in, and then I started to take the dog out for walks. I had no choice. And 10-15-minute walks. And I can tell you, after the first 5 days, I realized, oh my God, this is the first time that I had taken time for myself, that I have been outside, just like, not thinking about autism, just relaxing, just my mind relaxing and my mind decluttering. This is the first time that I'm actually by myself, that I by myself, and that I can just, think. And I started taking the dog out for walks, and eventually these walks became my escape. And I started taking and then I saw my neighbors, they were joggers, so I started to jog. And about 4 months after I started jogging, I said to myself, you know what, I'm really liking this. I'm going to register myself for a 5K race. And at the time, I could not run more than 2K, but I knew that if I had a goal that I could, I would continue with this. Right. So anyways, I registered myself for this 5K race. I've never run so long in my life. And the race was on the date of my birthday, my 41st birthday. And I remember I went to this race. I didn't even know how to dress. And I crossed the finish line of that first 5K race. And that moment was an epiphany. It was the moment that I told myself, okay, this is it. I need to take charge of my life. I need to take charge of my physical and mental health, because otherwise I will not be able to endure the long-term caregiving journey, because our journey is not a sprint. Our journey is a marathon. Absolutely. And we really need to take care of ourselves first in order to take care of our kids with grace. Because that is how my journey started. That's when I decided that that's it, that's all. And then I immersed myself in any strategies that I could use, to self-care mindset, to strengthen my mindset, to strengthen my emotional resilience, my physical health. And I became, a student of anything having to do with self-care. And that is really how my journey began. And I became a runner. I started to run marathons and things like that. And then, that is how the journey, how I transformed my life. But it took me where you are at least 12 years,
wow, that's amazing.
To explain my life,
Because frequently I think we're a bit like that story about the frog in hot water. If you throw a frog into a boiling pot of water, they'll hop out because they can tell the danger. Yeah. But as parents, we're like the frog that you put into the cold water and bring up to a boil. And those frogs don't jump out because they don't recognize the situation that they're in, right?
Exactly.
And so when you're just thinking about your story, and it sounds like you just there was sort of this light bulb moment where you realized, oh, this is helping me. I need this.
Yes.
And we're all keen to hear what those things are. But when you had the moment where you were driving, and then you had a couple of other moments, but what were the first niggling things, the first early warning signs that you felt in your path that may have signaled that? There was the car moment, but what should the parents here be recognizing in themselves as early signs of burnout?
Physical and mental exhaustion, and feeling stuck and like hopeless that there is nothing, and anxious as well. And in our case, as parents of children with special needs, I remember anxiety about the future. It would keep me awake at night because I would still, I would be thinking about it. Oh my, what's going to happen to my son? And it was really, we're going to see after what I did in order to strengthen my mindset and my emotional resilience, that we really need to recognize that there's nothing. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know what's going to happen. So we have to stay in the present moment. So I'm going to tell you more a little bit, but as far as the warning signs is physical, mental exhaustion, feeling stuck, useless, hopeless, hating your life or hating your job, trouble concentrating, trouble getting to sleep and staying asleep as well. Headaches can be headaches as well. And also just, like I remember, like I would just, I lost my identity. I don't even, just be not recognizing yourself in the mirror anymore. Like I completely lost my identity. My identity was to be my son's caregiver. And although I love my role, I completely lost who I was.
You became, and that's who
you
became.
I became, and I didn't have time to brush my hair. I mean, I was a lawyer. I would dress up and I completely, lost myself.
Yeah,
I completely lost myself, and that happens.
And that turns into a whole process of itself, right? There's the whole recycle, and a lot of these things, like neurologically speaking, when we're under chronic stress, there are parts of our brains that shut down, parts of we go into, just like our kids with their sensory cues, fight, flight, or freeze, right? And so, what are some of the things that you learned then when you became this FBI agent, going into oh my gosh, this really works? What
self-care?
Physiology, though, it seems to be a big part for your story. And I know that helps balance the neurochemicals in your brain. But tell us about the thinking process and the pieces that you put together.
How I arrived to it. Well, before we go into that, I just want to tell you something. I read, one of the waking moments that I had is when I read about a two research projects. There was one in the States, I think it was in the University of Madison, Wisconsin, where they realized that mothers of children with special needs, especially kids who are older or who have more complex needs, that are nonverbal, or they're aggressive, we have the same stress levels as soldiers in combat. And that for me was a waking moment. That was one waking moment. The other waking moment was a research from she's a Nobel Prize winner, actually, on telomeres, and her name I don't have her name, but telomeres are their the DNA, anyways, in the chromosomes. Anyway, it has to do with longevity, and they use mothers of special needs children who are the ones who have the most chronic stress as their research subjects, and they realize that those moms, they have short telomeres, which means that they had they age faster than all the other moms around.
So that makes sense, right? Science again confirms the lived experience.
And that for me was, again, when I was that FBI agent looking for tricks to save myself, that was a research that woke me up and said, I cannot continue to be this way, because otherwise I'm not going to be there for my son. So anyway, so those were so my journey began with the physical activity. That's how it began.
Yeah.
So
And do you mind if I ask, we do have like lots of people here and live in our Facebook group, if you guys have resonated with any of these symptoms, or if you have any particular things that are happening for you right now and you feel comfortable sharing here in the Zoom room chat or on the comment section, feel free to drop a comment and ask a question. And we'll bring it up and look at it with Claudia here. But while we're waiting for those to come in, and let us know where you're calling from. Like, where are you in the world?
Yes.
How are you today? All right. So Claudia, okay, you became this FBI agent. You had these wake up moments. And then you dug in, and sounds like you were digging deep, looking at primary literature and all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
So you found messages and trends, but then you also developed actual things to do in your day. Like, it's one theory is one thing, practice is another. So like, how did you integrate that, and what did you actually come up with as tools?
Yeah. So as you can see, my journey began by accident, by going with walks with my dog. And those walks, I call them now the mindful walks, because they not only allow me to stay physically active, but also mindful walks. I stay in the present moment. They allow me to stay in the present moment, and I go for walks, and alone. It's important to be alone and to focus on the present moment, to focus on the senses, focusing on the breeze on your cheeks, on the smells, the sights. And the idea for this is that you want to stay in the present moment, and you want to let the mind declutter. You want to let the mind declutter, because you don't want to be thinking about the future anxieties. You don't want to be thinking about past regrets. You want to be in the present moment. And those walks, for me, I think that's how it started, because I started to not only having the mind declutter, but also realizing that, I needed to take care of myself, and that I needed to accept things. I needed to accept, that my son was autistic, and that, that was going to be my life. But that's okay. As long as I stay physically and mentally strong, I will cope. So those walks allow me to think, and to begin to reconnect with myself. Because, when you are in that state, when you are you're living your life on autopilot, and you're going from one fire to the next, you forget who you are. You forget, why you are there, and what are your, what is it, who you are at your core. And those moments are very important. So, if you want to start, go on a walk by yourself, 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes. So that's how I started. And then after that, I started including other things. For example, journaling. And it started because I got injured. I don't remember what it was, and I couldn't walk. Oh. And for me, my walks were my escape. And I couldn't walk for a couple of months, and I said, "How am I gonna?" And I knew that I had become addicted to having my escape, which was my physical activity, but I couldn't. And then then I started reading, and then journaling became another part of my burnout prevention system. And journaling, it's another way that you can process your emotions.
Okay, so I heard when you were talking about your walks, I heard you talking about being really focused on the actual sensory part of it. So like, what am I hearing? What am I smelling? What am I feeling? What's around me? Paying attention to detail, to take essentially the focus from you onto something else, so that you can kind of like let it go. Yeah. What in your journaling specifically do you cover certain things to bring like pieces out, or just process, or you just like spilling your guts about the day, or like what help us understand, like, and how do you make it feel like it's not work to do that on top of everything else?
Yes. Well, journaling, it's actually the best way to think about journaling is brain dump. That's how I do it. Just the brain. And just writing without any, because it's for you. The journal is for you. So don't even worry about, don't worry about spelling mistakes. Just let it all out. Just let it all out. And now, at the time, it was just like writing anything and everything that came. Like if I was, I was feeling anxious. Why am I feeling anxious? Because what happens is that sometimes we're feeling anxious, but we don't know why. And it is when we spell it, when we see it on paper, it kind of relaxes us, because
well, I imagine it connects the part of your brain that, like it actually gets it out.
You are actually, so you're actually seeing, okay, I'm anxious because of this. So you can actually use your journaling to not only process emotions, but also give you, you can actually set out, okay, what am I going to be proactive in your, so for example, okay, I'm feeling anxious because my son is acting out because of it. So, but you can actually, you write down, you see what's going on, and then you can actually be proactive and write and say, okay, well, these are the things that I can do. I can call this person, or I can look into this problem, but use that as you're dumping everything that is in the brain, and that allows you to again declutter the mind.
Right, because we end up swimming in it, right?
Yeah. And we end up, we're not, again, it's about reconnecting with ourselves, reconnecting about, what is it that's in there, because when we are in this, like, we are in this state, it's like it's a state of burnout, of overwhelm. We don't even think clearly. So we really need to
drain that stuff out, and as much as possible. So
exactly.
So when we get that down, say we've got that down, and we've got our, okay, I could do this or this or this. We sometimes we can still feel overwhelmed and like there's just no hope. So what are your tricks for flipping your mindset? Because I think like it's very easy, and for me, it's not like we do a lot of poor me, we're too busy for that. Exactly. But sometimes just because, and it's true, lots of stuff is stacked against us.
Yeah.
But how do we avoid wallowing? How do we avoid victim stance? How do we avoid sort of constantly persistently negative thinking? And do you have, like, are there tricks or tips that you do to kind of like flip your thinking and your mindset?
Oh yeah. Well, now, I mean, as I said before, I would literally be I would literally stay up at night from anxiety, because my son is severely autistic, and I would say, oh my God, like he didn't learn his colors. What is he going to do in the future? I mean, he's not going to be able to go to university. He's not going to be, and I mean, so now what I do is like, I control my focus. My focus is key. So to stay, I have this little, I call it the FGPS mindset mastery framework, where I focus on, so it's all about focusing on what matters. So F is, so focusing on what matters, focusing on the focusing on the present moment, like focusing on what you can control. And that is, for
I'm writing
me,
some of these down in the chat, so keep going.
Writing, focusing on what you can control. And I think for me, that is probably the most important, because, like sometimes we and it's about like feeling hopeless, or feeling, you always, think the reason that we get anxious is because we start thinking about the future. Oh my God, this is going to happen. And it really buries us. But when we are just focusing on the present moment, on what we can control right here, right now, and that's it.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you, like, this month has been crazy for me because my son graduates from school. I'm selling my house, and it's just like, it's been crazy, but I am just focusing on what I can control right now. And that's it. Because
That's great.
otherwise,
So that was F. And
yeah.
then what's the next, what you said,
Okay,
F? What's the
F
framework?
GPS. Hang on. G. Oh my God. I will have to send it to you because
Oh yeah, no,
I
that's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
yeah, but you know, the biggest one is like really the focusing on what you can control, focusing on what matters as well.
Okay.
You know, focusing on what matters, what your priorities are, what the biggest priorities. But I think that the control is the most important one
Okay.
for us special needs parents.
And we'll maybe what we'll do is we'll get you to send us a link and put it in the chat if people are interested in working with you or learning more about your program.
Yeah.
In control.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you for sharing, like how to retain your focus too, and what are some of the other things that you we've got probably 15 minutes left here, so I want to like squeeze as much juice out of this as possible.
Yeah.
What
my
are
method,
how do we actually integrate these things into our day, and what else should we be doing in our day to kind of
So my method is called the H3MJPC self-care and stress resilience blueprint. So first, so H is health. Our physical health, we really have to be conscious about taking care of our physical health, and this starts by illness prevention. So illness prevention, make sure that you go to your doctors for your doctor's appointments, everything, whether it's a dentist, whether it's your medical appointments, your checkup. Please be be conscious that it starts by your health. Your health is the foundation to everything. So make sure, because I can tell you that when I was in the burnout mode, at least 7 years that I did not go to see my doctor. I was going to see my son's doctor, and I thought it was for me, but it is for you parents. Please, you have to take care of you. So the basic. So health includes nutrition. I am not a nutritionist, but make sure that you eat nutritious, healthy food, that you're snacking, you don't snack in the evening, that you get rid of all the junk in your cupboards. Make sure that you eat regularly. You get your veggies, you get your lean meats. So that's nutrition. Hydration, this is something that we forget. Hydration is key because it energizes us. So at least between 6 to 8 glasses of water every single day. Sleep is a huge one for us. Our kids, some of us, well, a lot of our kids don't sleep well. So we have to if we don't sleep enough, at least if you can nap, but at least between 6 to 8 hours of sleep every single day. For sleep, very important to have an evening routine if you can. An evening routine means that at least 45 to an hour before you go to bed, you start shutting down the computers, shutting down the iPad, the phone, because the blue light emitted by the phone, it destroys the melatonin, which helps you to sleep. So at least an hour before, you shut down all the light, and then you do a routine, a calming routine where you're going to do some little stretching. Some of you, if you can take a bath, this is where you can incorporate your journaling, if you can, doing some meditation, doing some reading a book. But important that you have like an evening routine that is going to calm you down, so that when you get to sleep, you're not tossing and turning. So that's important. So this is health and physical health. So this is the H. Then is M. Move your body. Shelley knows that moving my body is like probably my number one stress reliever. So move your body, whether it's a 50-minute walk or a hike or a swim, or go to the basement and do some weight training, or a Pilates workout using an app. And actually, you know, I'm going to send you a link. I have a freebie. It's a summary of some apps, some fitness apps that I can send you. I'm going to send you to all of you ladies. I'm going to send you a list of free apps that you can do, like fitness apps. Because I mean, most of us moms, I know, we don't have time, but you know, we can incorporate 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And the important thing is that we move our bodies, because this, you know, when we move, our body releases not melatonin, serotonin, and all this feel good endorphins. So moving our bodies can change our lives. So moving is important. The other M is mindfulness. And as we spoke, going for a mindful walk, 10, 15-minute mindful walk. When you are in the present moment, you are focusing on your senses. And it can be a walk, but it can be any type of activity. It can be when you're cooking, when you're steering, you're smelling. So any type of activity, you can actually introduce mindfulness anytime, anywhere. Because people think that they need to be like a meditation master. No, mindfulness, you can do mindfulness anytime.
Well, and sometimes it's just not realistic, right?
Yeah,
You've got bombs going off all over the place. So, you know, you got to have the things you can take with you, like your breathing and your senses.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you have to sit and in a place and no, you can do mindfulness anytime. Like if you have a 5-minute, you know, 5 minute to drink your tea, well, drink it mindfully. Think about, you know, what, you know, just the senses. So really, I incorporate my mindfulness anytime, anywhere. That's how I call it. Mindfulness anytime, anywhere. So 5 minutes, you know, if you have 10 minutes, go for a mindful walk. If you're cooking, you're cooking mindfully, eating mindfully. So incorporate it anytime, anywhere. So that's the M. Mindset, and the other M. So we said H is health, M is move your body. The other M is mindfulness. The third M is mindset. So really strengthening your mindset. And as I said, you know, really try to stay in the present moment, the focusing on what you can control, focusing on gratitude is another way that you can focus, that you can transform your focus. What is it? Because sometimes, you know, something happens and we're stressed out. Focusing on why are you grateful for? You know, my son, he still does a lot of tantrums and things, but you know, I switched my mindset. I said, well, you know what? I am grateful that today at school, it went well. He had a great day, and that I'm grateful for. So you really, the focusing is focus on what you can control, focusing on what you're grateful for, and focusing on what matters. And really, that is going to help you, you know, stay in the present moment and not be as anxious. The other way that you can work on your mindset is to feeding your mind with positivity. And this is how can you feed your mind with positivity? First, for example, get rid of the news. A lot of people just stay, you know, like get stressed out by listening to the news. Well, you know what? Reduce the time that you watch the news. How can you feed it with positivity? Listen to podcasts, listen to shows that are empowering and that are, you know, that can motivate you. So really making sure that you, as Tony Robbins says, you know, make sure that you are, you stand guard at the door of your mind. What comes into your mind, it's very important. And as parents,
I think because we generate a lot of that our own selves as well. So like when we're in crisis and there is that negativity, we have to sort of be mindful on our own minds, you know, like, yes. and what are the thoughts that are going through the head? What are the messages that we're telling ourselves, you know, that we're not good enough moms, that you know, our kids are are failing? Do we have expectations about what their experience in life should be, or what they should have been, and that we wanted them to be? Like what are the things going on back there that are the negative bits?
Yes.
And also, I don't know about you, but the people around you, and in the house support, sometimes it can be very difficult and touchy, quite frankly, with family members, particularly if they're not supportive, or they don't recognize a diagnosis, or they don't see it clearly, or they don't believe you. And so we have to be our own best self advocates.
Absolutely.
Around those pieces. So we extra have to tell ourselves that, we've got this. We do know our child best.
Exactly.
How many times do we hear the lip service?
Yes. And that goes again, not only with parents, but also at schools. We have to be, we have to advocate for our children, and we have to stay strong, mentally strong, to say, we are the experts.
Which means we have to believe it ourselves.
We have to believe in ourselves. And that is why, that is why we have to stand guard at the door of our minds and say, at the core, this is who we are. And this is, whatever comes in, we have to be really careful what comes in, because we need to stay mentally strong for us and for our kids. So this is very important.
So we've got mindset. Health, mindfulness, mindset, move your body.
Okay. The other one is J, journaling. We spoke about journaling. So if you can incorporate, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. As I said, I incorporate it in the morning when I do like a really quick journaling for like, what am I grateful for? Or what are my goals for the day? Like 5 minutes. And in the evening, before I go to bed, I recall my day. And what were the wins for the day and stuff. So it doesn't really have to be anything complicated. And I don't even have like a journal, like journal. I just have like a notebook that I buy at the dollar store. So I just write, so the idea is that you brain dump anything that comes to mind. And I can guarantee you that that's going to help you. Like, just relax and not be as anxious. So J is journaling. P is passion. I know that it's hard for us when we are in a stressful moment, stress, and going from one stress to the other, to think about things that we're passionate about, that are completely aside from our kids. But we need to find a passion for us, whether it is painting, whether it is, something active, or something that is completely, separate from our life with our kids or family, something just for us.
How do you overcome the
guilt?
Thank you.
The mom guilt,
the self-indulgence guilt.
Yes, I know, because that's how I felt before. I just realized, I just tell myself, I need this to be physically and mentally strong for my son. I need to have this time for me, like a bubble, like in my little bubble, where I need to have like 10 minutes or whatever. If I have to go for my run because that's my passion, well, I go because it's going to be helpful for me physically and mentally. And
I think that's super critical, because I can remember going through my paths where it's sort of like these little slights, this frog in the hot water. It's sort of like, oh, I failed there. Oh, I failed there. He's not getting this. He can't do that. This bad thing happened. And as those, drop by drop, those self-doubts and all of those other things, where can you start to feel like you don't deserve to have the you're not doing good enough, or it's a little taboo to say, hey, disabled kid, just hang out there while I go do my thing, right? Like there's a little bit of I've had specific, I totally get it.
and I still feel mom guilt, when I said to myself, when I tell to my other son, can you watch your brother while I go for my run? I still feel guilty. But then they see me come back. and they say, oh my God, they see this mom energized and happy. So they themselves are realizing that, you know what, mom, when she comes back, she looks, she's happy, and so it's
Well, and
really a matter of,
modeling, right?
yeah,
I mean, if
yeah,
we do care about our kids and we want to show them the right way to do things, what kind
yeah,
of example are we setting for taking care of ourselves or not?
yes,
Like, we
yes.
want them to be independent and
Mhm.
ultimately, and we want them to know how to take care of themselves when we're
Yes,
gone because we're worried that maybe they won't be able to,
yeah,
then modeling for them, that's just like a
absolutely.
fantastic.
Exactly. Having that mindset shift that, I want my son to see not self-neglect, but a mom who takes care of herself, so that he will be able to take care of himself after. So I think it's really having that mindset shift that, we need to put our own oxygen mask first, and to be the model, the role model of health and mental strength for our kids.
Because
And that is
they don't do what they're told, they do what they see.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
And
having that time for you, it's important, so that the passion, so finding a passion, trying to find a passion. And like people ask me, like clients ask me, oh, well, it's been so long that I don't even know what well, you know what? Go back. Go back to when you were younger. Did you have a passion? Well, find it, try to find, so painting, like I started painting. Anything that is,
become the FBI agent for your own self.
yeah, for your, exactly. So anything that is going to make you relax and give you some self-fulfillment outside of everybody else, it's something for you. So passion for you. And then the last one is connection. Connection is, trying to build a tribe, a village of supportive people that are going to be there for you. And that, as parents of special needs children, we need, well, family, friends, of course, but also specialists, specialists and organizations like ParentDashboard that are there for you, to support you in your journey. So really, connection is super important. And I mean, in these times of COVID, it's very important to stay connected, whether it's by phone, by Zooms or whatever, but really having that circle of support where you are, you're feeling supported, because we need, we as parents of special needs children, it's hard to find, support, but we need to, and we need to ask for support as well. We need to ask for
Absolutely.
support.
Absolutely.
Family, friends, etc. So that's it.
Well, and this is fantastic. Like all just those bullet points, and I'll make sure that we copy and paste the text that notes I've been taking into the replay.
And you know what I'm thinking? And I think I'm going to do kind of like just a little one pager with the different, with the H3 MJPC, with all the different points of the so that
Perfect.
it's easier for all of you to remember.
Thank you so much. So if does anyone have any questions that they'd like? We have time here. We have just a few minutes where we could, pose some questions to Claudia. And if you don't, and you think of it later, Claudia, we're very grateful to have you in our ParentDashboard group community. So if you comment on this post, we'll make sure that, like she'll be able to see it. And
if you have questions, for sure, I mean, I can answer them. Yeah. And as I said, I'm going to send you some freebies for everyone who was here.
Good.
And
then
a summary.
Got a comment here from Denise. Okay. Claudia, you certainly have it right. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave maybe it there, Claudia, if people need have felt like drawn to the way you approach things, and I know that you work with clients, can you tell us a little bit about what you do, like professionally as well, around this to support people, and some of the things you've got coming up so that we can watch for them? I know you have a quiz on your website that helps that people assess. Everybody should probably go and take that quiz like today.
Yeah. I'll give you the link. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a quiz, a mom burnout quiz, specifically for mothers. So it's it gives you, the idea for the quiz is that it gives you what are the limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck in burnout. So there's different, I mean, we talked about mom guilt, we talked about failure to set boundaries, we talked about why are we not making self-care priority, because sometimes we're just too physically and mentally exhausted that all we want to do is that just crash in front of the TV. So there are 5 different limiting beliefs that are keeping us stuck. And that is, if you take the quiz, you're probably you're going to find which of the biggest is the problem.
Excellent.
So I'll send you the link for that. The other thing is I write books. So I have a book called Burnout to Unstoppable. I'm having a second book that is coming in the fall, which is going to be called Beat Motherhood Burnout, 7 self-care habits to reduce stress and be unstoppable. And these self-care habits are the H3MJPC, which I discussed today. So I'm going to send you a summary of that. I am also publishing a journal at the end of January, the end of June. It's going to be published on Amazon, and it's gonna what we talked today. Actually, it's really going through. It's going to help for self-reflection. So I'm going to have some prompts for self-reflection. And then we're going to have some exercises, how to set your morning routine, your evening routine, how to make more time. So there's going to be some time management exercises there to make sure that you have at least 45 minutes for you. And then you have another section that is actually the planner. So you will have like daily pages, and you have a weekly page. So I'm really excited for that.
I
really
love this so much. We
Yes.
are all about logistics here at ParentDashboard.
Well, I mean, it's actually what we talked today, but it's going to be more into a journal, because I thought, like,
Something
it's nice to hear things, but if you have something where you can actually write, and so it's going to be, I'm really looking forward for this. So I'm going to leave you the name of it, and once it's out, I'll let you know so that you can tell your ladies. And of course, I do also some. I have some courses, digital courses, but I also have a program, which is a 3-month program for those who want to go deeper. And we work together one-on-one. We do some group coaching as well. But the idea is to get you from burnout to the most unstoppable mother that you can become. And then we go through the 7, the 7 steps. We go through to the 7, self-care habits, but we really work one-on-one to make sure that you have the accountability that you need, because, you need accountability, but also you need a cheerleader, because I know that, I know how it is. We start something, but you need to be there. And the idea is to build the habits so that they become long life habits. Absolutely. So that you become, it's not that you do once here and once there, because we dabble.
You become that marathon runner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing Laura here in the comments. Wonderful. I'm hoping you've provided the needed inspiration to get me moving again and into my passions. Thank you so much.
Good.
Has anybody else here found value in today's session? Show of hands. Anybody? Oh yeah, I see hands going up. That's awesome. And if you want more value, definitely, and you haven't yet, subscribe to our ParentDashboard community, because we have guests every month, and we are just and we also have we've just started a caregiver mental health group, and we're hoping to have Claudia back. We haven't told her that, but we're hoping to have Claudia back sometime and broadcast it into that. But we at ParentDashboard here, we're going to be launching our other portions. We've got relationship and financial assistance and sort of all of the pieces that get impacted when you have these stress levels. So stay tuned and watch for those. And just as a quick progress update, in this last month, ParentDashboard has developed its social purpose enterprise component to its business. And I just wanted to give everybody an update that that's going well. And we've started our business venture to support businesses, including the caregivers and support providers, the professionals, with their online systems. So if you know of a care professional that wants to get online, but hasn't been able to kind of get that figured out yet, or, you know, help more people by going online, we do offer that. And the reason why we're doing that is because the money from that goes to actually fund workers to reduce the price that we charge hourly to parents who need help with their kids. So that's our little social purpose enterprise model. There is a 9-minute little blurb on it in our pinned post in our community, and that has gone really well as a launch this month, and we're on our way to meeting our goal in 2025. By 2025, and I'm hoping actually quite a bit sooner, that we will be able to reduce our hourly rates from the market rate right now, where we are, it's like $30 an hour, down to something like $10 an hour or less by 2025. So thank you for supporting us in that, and letting any businesses that you know who need, you know, help with their social media marketing. It's expensive. You can spend a lot of money on it and really not get any results, but we really have been getting results for these businesses. So if you know of anybody who needs that support, we're happy to provide that, so we can turn around and help the parents. So Claudia, thank you so much for being here and giving us such concrete, you know, it's all nice and airy fairy theory, but you really gave us some concrete tools, and we're really looking forward to that summary and those links, and we'll put them in the chat in the Facebook group. So if anybody else has any comments, feel free to leave them. Otherwise, we will wrap up this ParentDashboard Presents event with a great big thank you to Claudia. Thank you so much for being here today. You are a wonderful, wonderful resource, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. And I am looking forward, if you have any other, I'm coming back for sure.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. All right, you guys. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and take good care. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.